Welcome to Rick Rack Ruby. I'm Laura Cluvo. Today we will be making this angel ornament from vintage fabrics. She's fun and easy, so let's get started. The next fabric that I've chosen from my vintage purples is this rose print. It feels like nylon, like an organza, but it has this stripe. And I'm going to do a gathered angel dress with this fabric. There's a hem, which you would think would be ready-made to gather it up like this and just have that ready-made hem, but I prefer that the stripe, can you see the stripe? That the stripe is vertical. So it's about 18 inches by 18 inches, and so I thought about it, and I think that 6 is just too tall. So I'm going to aim for 4 4.5 inch strips cut crosswise like this. I'm going to go cut those out, and I'll be right back. Here is my 4.5 inch strip. I'm going to, first of all, I think this is the bottom. We're going to call this the bottom. I guess it could be this. I think it could go either way, but I just think there's a little bit, this will be the bottom. Anyway, I want to hem this. This is very shreddy. I discovered when I was trying to cut it that it shreds easily. So I'm going to fold up this bottom edge, press it, hem it, and then I'm going to add some kind of a lace to the bottom of the hem. I've pressed under the long edge and I starched it to make it easier to sew, and now I'm going to hem this. I just did a straight stitch hem, and I dug through my most recent lot of lace and I couldn't find exactly the right hem lace, so I pulled this out of my stash and I'm going to just zigzag this to the bottom of the hem. Here we go. I have my hem, my lace on the hem, and I'm going to right sides together, fold and pin, and then stitch up the short sides. I also removed that hem edge, so these are just 2 raw edges. So I'll pin and stitch. I seamed up the short sides, and then I'll turn that right side out. This is going to become her dress. This will be the center back, the seam. And let's go ahead and prep the angel's body. I'm using a 20 millimeter head, and I've already created her face, and of course you can find the instructions for the Rick Rack Ruby face in my Focus on Faces video. Then I also have a 6-inch tulle and some 1/16 inch ribbon. I'm going to do this quickly because if you've been watching any of my videos, you already know how to do this, so you can skip ahead. I'll cut off 2 lengths about 15 inches. Like that. And then about 15 inches of this 1/16 inch ribbon. And folding this in half, and then I'll tie this off in the center with the ribbon. Then I'm going to thread the ribbon ends through the bead from the bottom to the top. And then I'm going to back that up a little bit and add some glue right here in the back, just a smudge, hot glue. And then I'm going to slide that head on again, just so the top of the tulle barely shows up here. I want the tulle to fill that hole in the bead. And then I'll tie off the ribbon ends to form the hanging loop. I like a nice long hanging loop. I like to have options. Then I'm trimming the ends. Now I'm going to get a needle and thread and gather up the top edge of the dress. I have a generous knot in the end of my thread, a double strand of thread. I'm going to secure that knot there on the inside of the seam allowance, so that seam allowance is securing the knot. And then I'm just going to gather the top edge with a running stitch in and out, and this fabric is fine, and so I use a fine needle and a fine thread. And I'm coming in a little more than usual because I just don't want the weave of the fabric to come apart when I gather this up. I'm going to give it a little bit more of an allowance. So I'll just continue all the way around to where I began. Gently tugging that to gather it up. That looks good. And then I'll place it over her head, making sure to get that loop through. And then center the seam on the back and pull this tightly around her neck. Before I pull it all the way tight and secure it, I like to be sure that the gathers are distributed evenly around the dress, around the neck. So I'm going to pull it tight, wrap it, and then secure it in the back. So wrap a couple of times, and then I usually go through. This is why I don't put too much glue there at the top of the tool, because if there's too much glue, then it's hard to get the needle through here. Anyway, I'm going to secure this and tie off the thread. For her collar, I'm going to use this lace, which is from my new lace lot, and I also use this on the stockings. I'll fold back the end and then secure my thread. This is a double strand of thread, and then just gather this up all the way along one edge. It's about, I'm going to say, let's see, it's about 3/4 of an inch wide. That looks good, so I'll place that around her neck and join the ends in the back. This is about 15 inches of this lace. I don't remember if I said, but I did trim off the tulle below her hem. Let's have a look. So I will secure this by going back and forth a couple of times and then tie it off in the back. This doesn't have to be super neat because it will be covered by her hair and also by the wings. For her hair, I'm just using this fuzzy mohair yarn. You can use whatever you like for the hair. Hold on to the end, nice long end, and wrap this, I think, 4 times. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and let's do 5. 5 and. Give yourself a nice generous end there so that you can pull it around, wrap all the way, pick up the first end, tie this in a knot, oops, okay, hold on, okay, there's the knot, and then one more time. So that's the first bundle. I think that's plenty. We could probably have just done it with 4, but it depends on the yarn, so you kind of have to gauge according to the thickness of your yarn. I'm going to do 4 for the front. This will be the back, this will be the front. A nice long end, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm going to show this a little bit better. Take this end, wrap all the way around, all the way, and then pick up this end and around and through. This is just a square knot. That feels nice and secure in the center, so I'm going to trim that off. I like to leave a little bit of end there. And this is going to be her wig. If this was very confusing, I do have a separate video called Ruby's Hair Technique. All right, so for the back of her head, I'm going to glue this on starting right here behind the loop. A nice generous, wait, which one was it? Oh, it was this one, okay. A nice generous dollop of hot glue there. I'm gonna hold that in place for a second to make sure that's secure. Then I'm just gonna cover the back of her head with like a circle or a penny of hot glue. And then I'll just press that in so that it covers the back of her head. Like that. And then it's also showing a little bit on the side, so I'm going to add some glue here to secure that. I really want every strand to be glued. If there's a loose strand, then it can come loose, you know, come out of her hair, and sometimes it'll take the halo with it. So I do try to glue down every single strand. There we go. Now for the front, I need a little bit more finesse. I'm going to, again, squeeze some glue right here in front of the loop, right here. And press the center of the bundle right there in front of the loop. Hold that to secure. And then I'm going to twist each section toward the back and glue each side to the side of her head, like this and this. So first I'll add a line of glue right here along the side of her head. And then twist and press into that glue. You need to work quickly because you don't want you want the glue to still be hot enough to hold it. So again, I'll do a line right here and then twist and press. Twist and press. Now I'm just going to touch it up by adding a few little smears of hot glue and kind of pressing these ends in to make a definite shape. For the halo, I'm just going to cut off about 2 inches of this 20 gauge gold wire. I'm going to shape it around my thimble here to give it that U shape like this. And then I'm going to add glue to each end and press that into the sides of her head. So 1, 2. There's her halo. And now I'm going to tie a bow from the same ribbon. So I'll tie a bow just like you're tying a shoe. There's no secret to it. Just loop and around and pull. Here's my bow. I think I'm going to put it underneath her collar like this. No, I'll put it on top. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue to the center of my bow and then press that right beneath her chin. Sort of arrange these loops. It's hard to get the bow exactly perfect. I don't want it to be too wonky, but I don't mind if one loop is a little bit longer. Now, you know, as a little accent underneath her chin, I wanted to use these flowers from my hat. Let me cut this off. But I feel like there isn't enough contrast. What do you think? I mean, it's fine, and I might use that. But then I was digging around and I found these. These are from Recollections. I think they're in the scrapbooking section. They're paper roses. I mean, that might be too much like on the nose, and it's a little large, but let's try it. Wow, I wish it was a little bit smaller. I think I'll just go with this one. It's a little bit more subtle, and if you prefer the strong contrast of the paper rose, you can always, you know, do that. I'll just stick with this. And that way my projects are coordinated also. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back here and just stick that right below her chin. Maybe like this. That looks good. Pretty. All right, now for her wings, I'm going to use this fabulous Barkcloth. I'm going to cut a 4 3/4 inch circle from a section of the Barkcloth that has a lot of purple. This will be her wing, so maybe right here. Here's my 4 3/4 inch circle of Barkcloth. I put some interfacing on the back. It's just medium weight fusible because I don't want the wings to get limp. So I decided that this is going to be the front of the wings like this. So pretty. So I'm going to mark this with an F. F for front. Then I'll fold it in half and stitch around the entire outside. Here's my wing piece. I'm going to trim the seam allowance with my pinking shears. There we go. Now I'm going to fold this in half to determine the center and mark it here. A little plus sign here, and I know this is the front. I want to open up the front layer of the wings. So I'm only cutting through the front. I want to be sure that I have a large enough opening that I can reach inside and turn this. Let's see. I think I can do it. If it's too much of a struggle, I can make the cuts a little bit longer, but I think this will work. There we go. Now I'm going to press this flat. I'll be right back. There we go. Nice and flat. I also use spray starch, and now I'm going to just top stitch about 1/4 of an inch in, about 1/4 of an inch in from this curved edge, and I'm going to do like a little, it's a straight stitch, but it's a back and forth like a thick straight stitch. I call it the triple stitch. It'll be a little bit heavier than just one stitch. There's how it looks. Now I'm just going to glue this center of the wings. Remember, the front is the part that has that opening, and so I'm going to glue the back of her head right over that, that cut opening, just like that. Okay, so right here, I'll add some glue and press that onto the back of her head. I try to get it centered. And hold it until it feels very secure. Make sure I don't have the hanging loop stuck in the glue. That looks good. What do you think? I have enough of this fabric to make 4 of these, so I'm going to stay busy for the rest of the day. Thank you for watching my tutorial. If you're enjoying my videos, please like, share, and subscribe.